Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So today is our next
Welcome.
session, inshallah, for the exam of Usman Perwaiz, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you give me some introduction about yourself, please, if you can?
Yes, sure. I'm Usman Perwaiz from Pakistan, and I have a total overall about 10 plus years of in internet in IT industry, working in various roles like network engineering and project engineer also. And I also worked in Pakistan and Saudi Arabia also. Recently, I came here in Pakistan and I will go back to Saudi inshallah soon.
So are you on a vacation in Pakistan or you just moved over
Yes, sir,
here?
on vacation. On vacation.
On vacation, okay. Okay. All right. So how long have you been working in Saudi Arabia?
Um, it's about now 9 years.
9 years. Whereabouts in
Yes.
Saudi Arabia?
In first 5 years in Riyadh, and after 4 years, I have been in different locations like Dammam, Rabi, Makkah, like that.
Oh, mashallah. Okay, that's good. Okay, so have you learned Arabic during this time?
Yes, not kind of a good flow, but I can understand and I can speak also.
Okay, that's good, mashallah. Okay. All right, so you already know the drill, right? Recently, we have
Yes.
noticed that many candidates are using artificial intelligence to create their presentations. There is a policy against that. So you have to declare that you created this presentation using the AI, right? You can use AI. It is undeniably a very powerful tool. Everyone should use it, should augment themselves, but they should not completely rely on it, right? So that is the whole idea. The other thing is that if you are using something like that, you need to declare it upfront that yes, I did use bits and pieces of it, or I even used it to completely to create the presentation, right? This is very important. For the MCQs part, I believe your MCQs are being analyzed right now, right? MCQs are open book exams. So there are two parts of the EduQual qualification. Because now Pearson is also coming up, we will start providing Pearson, BTEC, HNC, and HND diplomas from February or March. It may be earlier in January. I don't know because we already passed phase one and phase two of the accreditation process, right? So we also went through the training. All of those things are done. So the point I'm saying is that there's a lot of things that you have to understand. These are open book MCQ exams, right? If you have used any resources like Google to answer a question or consult documentation and stuff like that, that is fine. That is okay because these are open book exams. There are certain rules that you have to follow. But if you're using automation scripts, if you're using bots to answer the questions on your behalf, that is completely prohibited. Our artificial intelligence, Al-Bari, is picking up the behavior. So what it does is that it builds up a persona of a person, right? How many times he logs in. There's a lot of verticals he looks into you, right? So essentially, he looks at your digital footprint. So any person who is attempting to do any kind of malicious activity will obviously leave some kind of breadcrumbs behind. And that is the bread. So that is something that the AI is looking for. So, little minute breadcrumbs. Because if a person cheats, it will always be there to see. Like as in Islam, we say like, cheating is something, lying is something extremely disliked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So you as a Muslim, I can tell you that. I mean, there are non-Muslims over here who are studying as well.
Mm.
But in Islam, it is extremely disliked. And this is one of the major sins, like lying. So I'm not implying anything on you, but your results are being checked. It's a process. Everyone goes through that process, right? If any person has done any kind of wrongful activity, as a whistleblower protection and as uh, like in good faith, that person can come forward. Again, I'm not saying that person can come forward and say, yes, I did a mistake. I use automation scripts, right? To do some tests because they left more than 10 people have been caught doing this. Again, your name is not there. Your results are being tallied right now. The AI looks into combined activity of you on the portal, what questions you're asking, how many classes you're doing, what time you log in, you log out, what courses you did, how long you watched the video, did you skip the video? This is looking at many verticals. So altogether, if I have to compile it up, there are more than 500 plus pointers of a given person.
Mm.
And I just named few of them, right? Where are you clicking? What are you doing? There's a lot of things, right? This is something we have implemented as the artificial intelligence operations. The project name is Al-Bari, which is one of the names of Allah, the evolver, the maker. The solution name is Bari, right? So you can, like in the West, people have started calling it Barry, right? Right? So they're saying Barry, it's a great tool, etc., etc. But it's not the Barry, that is in Flash. If you know about, the Flash, his name is Barry, right? It's not like that, but it does act like that. It is very fast. It looks into a trove of data that a person leaves it behind, right? Right. So anytime a person is interacting on our portal, and then there's a new portal coming up as well, which is running on OpenEdX, right? And the old portal, anytime or the website interacts or does anything, there are more than 600 APIs being called in to furnish a request. So you can imagine there's a lot of data being collected, right? So I'm just telling you right now that you will receive an email. You should have received an email today regarding that message. So everyone has 7 days to come forward. Because if we find out that, yes, that person did something, and we have substantial evidence to back it up, because we're going to show you the evidence. And that evidence cannot be denied because it's there. On the day of judgment, Allah is going to show us the evidence. We cannot deny it. Allah says in the
Exactly.
Quran, I'm gathering evidence against you that will be used against you. Right? So you have the time. So everyone has the time, right? If they have done something wrong, they should come forward and say, okay, yes, we did something wrong. We will give you another attempt for the MCQs, right? Again, from January of 2025, from the first Q1, it may happen in January or February or March. We are looking into that. We will implement a new protocol, which is going to be 50% of it is going to be on Al Razak Labs, 25% MCQs, 25% interview and presentation. That thing is not applicable on you because you're going for the exam right now, right? So anyone who registers right now and goes, whatever the case is, I mean, that is something we're implementing in, right? Those who are honest and getting success and successful, there's a lot of benefits we are providing, immigration assistance. I mean, in your case, you've been working for 10 years now, almost, right? If you get
Yeah.
the AI ops, inshallah, you can apply for, what is your base qualification prior to joining us? What have you done?
Uh, Master of Computer Science.
So you've already done a Master of Computer Science, and how old are you?
I am 38.
38. So if you're planning to go to US, for example, you can apply for EB visa. We can assist you in that process. So there is another benefit for you, right?
Yeah.
And that can be extremely helpful for you because then you'll be able to file for your own green card within 2 years' time. You don't need any employer per se. So there's a lot of benefits we are providing to our alumni specifically, right? And you are one of them. I wish you the best. Let's start the exam. And again, you know, uh, all we are asking for is honesty from the people, right? So there's a great opportunities for you in Middle East. You already know about that. You're already in Saudi Arabia. You already know how demanding this is right now. You already have masters in computer science. You're doing AI ops. You can just do one specialization. You can head over to, like, but my recommendation is like, yes, you can apply for better jobs in Middle East, you know, whatever you're earning, 15, 20,000 real, I'm not sure, whatever it is, you can earn more. Absolutely, yes. But like head towards Europe, head towards UK. With all these skill sets, head towards US, right? Head towards the NATO countries, as we call them, the top 82 countries of the world where most of the commerce is happening. Around 85% of the global GDP is tied up into these countries, right? So head over there because you still have a lot of time. You're 38 right now. You still have a good bit. Like I would say, you still have 30 years in your tank before you hang up your gloves and say, okay, I'm done. So there's a lot of time for you to perform well in the industry and be successful. Okay. All right. So Bismillah, start. You can start now. I will be taking a lot of notes. I have taken a lot of notes already, but as you are presenting, I will be extracting some of the more questions from there, and then we will proceed. Okay. You have 15 to 20
Okay,
minutes,
sir.
minimum, maximum 20 minutes to give your presentation. Okay.
Okay,
Please.
sir. I'm just sharing my presentation.
Yes, please.
Okay, can you see my screen?
I can. Yes.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So, today I'm presenting uh, an e-commerce application infrastructure in multi-cloud environment that is running over AWS and Azure. Uh, this is the table of contents that we will head over in this presentation. Now, first, we will see application design overview, how the application is designed at very high level. And next, we will go to the cloud level infrastructure, how this whole application is implemented, deployed in cloud. Then we will go through Kubernetes cluster infrastructure. Obviously, this application is deployed in Kubernetes, and we will see the cluster in each cloud platform. I mean AWS and Azure. And finally, we will see the application design features and implementation. What features we have, we will see in this application regarding security, scalability, and reliability. So first, we will go through application design overview. So this e-commerce application is would be deployed in multi-cloud infrastructure. And what are the benefits of multi-cloud? Obviously, availability, everyone knows, because each cloud platform, cloud platform like AWS, Azure, they are more reliable, and scalability. Every cloud provider provides scalability at its highest level, like 90+%, and security. We will utilize the security features of our platforms and also the security features from the Kubernetes itself. So, moreover, we are expecting that this e-commerce web application need to be flexible so that if a business or company needs to expand its global reach, we can cover more regions globally. So we will also need to focus about this. So first of all, a multi-cloud infrastructure. As I discussed before, that this application would be deployed in multi-cloud infrastructure scenario. We are using the AWS and Azure, and this application would be divided in 3 tiers, like front end, back end, and database. The front end tier would be used to serve the users with various interfaces. I have listed some of the interfaces at the bottom of the screen, like user interface services, authentication, authorization, shopping cart, order tracking, and checkout. All these services, these are some of them. These are the services that by which the user will interact with the web application. Next, we have backend tier. The backend tier will will implement the business logic. Some of the services, microservices I have listed here, like product catalog, shopping cart, order management. These are that services which would not be for which the user would not directly interact. These would get the data from the front end tier, process it according to business logic, and then they will output whatever the according to the application operation or functionality. The third tier is database. These are the some databases like product database, order database, customer. All the database would be implemented in separate tier, like database tier. Now, as I discussed before, that this application would be deployed in Kubernetes cluster. So we will utilize EKS for AWS and AKS for Azure. These are the services that are provided from respective cloud providers for cloud for Kubernetes, and these are manageable, totally managed managed services from the cloud providers. We only need to implement our application while the backend infrastructure of this Kubernetes is managed by the cloud providers. These are some points that I listed below. That user will interact with the front end tier, and database. That's very important here, because we need the consistency in the data, because this application is spanned between two cloud providers, AWS and Azure. So we need the consistency, so that if one cloud provider should not duplicate the data in the database. So we will use only one single write database instance, and in this infrastructure we will use the AWS, and this write database instance, a master database instance, would be backed up by standby database instance, so that if the master database instance gets down or becomes out of reach for whatever the reason is, the standby database instance will take over the operation for the write operation. To offload the load for the read operations from the application to the database, we will deploy multiple regional read replicas in all over the cloud platform in AWS and Azure separately. These read replicas will fetch the data, sync its data from master databases, either it is master database write instance or standby write database instance. So these read replicas will sync its data and will set the read operations to the application. Now we'll go ahead for cloud level infrastructure. This is a high level diagram for this multi-cloud infrastructure. Obviously, I will head over to each component in upcoming slides. First of all, I will go to AWS. The important point is here, we are using here Route 53, a single entry point for the user. Whether it is AWS, whether it is Azure, Route 53 will route the traffic between these two cloud platforms based on the user location or based on the user latency, so that there would be minimum latency for the user to access the web application. Now, Route 53 will connect to Global Accelerator. What Global Accelerator will do? Global Accelerator will connect to each of the regions in AWS. Right now, I'm only talking about AWS. So Global Accelerator will connect to each of the region because we can expect that this web application will span all over the globally in multiple regions. So there should be some cost optimization, because if we skip this global accelerator, we have to implement the multiple load balancers, which can increase the cost. So by global accelerator, we will use only a single IP, actually not a single IP, only two IPs, but one IP would be activated, would be served to Route 53 at one time. So there will be a single IP, and global accelerator will forward the traffic to whatever the best performing region is available. So we can say that global accelerator is a single point of entry for AWS EKS cluster. And again, this point about the cost reduction, global accelerator, by this scenario, we can reduce the cost uh, for which we have to use by skipping global accelerator by implementing the load balancer for each region.
Do you have any
After
experience?
that,
Just a quick question. Do you have any experience of deploying global load balancing, global accelerators?
to be honest, no.
No.
Right now, no.
Okay. All right, continue.
Okay. So next we will see AWS Web Application Firewall. Why we need it? We need to secure our infrastructure ECAS cluster at cloud level. AWS Web Application Firewall can protect from various cyber attacks. I'm listed some of them like SQL injection, cross-site scripting, and other OWASP vulnerabilities. And we can also customize the rules to allow or block our traffic, whatever we want to allow, the IP address or location, whatever. We can implement these policies through this web application firewall. Next, we will this web application this web application firewall would be connected to application load balancer. So previously, web application firewall uh, is providing us the security at cloud level. The application load balancer is providing us the scalability here because if the load traffic load increases or decreases, this application load balancer will deploy more instances, scale up or scale down, depending on the traffic load. And this load balancer would be connected to each subnet. Like if I go back here, this load balancer is connected to first. It is connected to front end here, and then another load balancer is connected to back end here. In AWS, the whole VP is divided based on the subnet. Means each tier has separate subnet, and each subnet is connected to its respective load balancer. We can implement network access control list and security group to allow only our interested traffic in the subnet to make the application functionality proper. And regarding the AC instances, we will not use the on-demand instances. We will use reserved instances, which will obviously which is a cost-effective solution. Regarding the database, we will use AWS RDS with single write instance, as I discussed in previous slide. We will use only single write instance in AWS RDS for data consistency and backup by RDS instance. That if master RDS instance gets down, the standby RDS instance takes over the write operation. By this, we will achieve the high availability, and it also provides us performance scaling because it can easily scale up, scale down on depending on the demand. There would be multiple read replicas among the region to offload the read operations from the write RDS instances. All read operations would be deployed on the read replica. And these read replicas will sync its data from the master RDS instance. Transit gateway. Because there are two different cloud platforms, AWS and Azure, we have to link these two cloud platforms with each other. For this, we will use the VPN connection, and the service that is provided by AWS is this transit gateway. Because there is only a single write instance in AWS, obviously the microservices in Azure, they would have to do the right operations in the database. So the microservices in Azure need access to the AWS. So we need to connect these two cloud platforms, AWS and Azure. This would be done by creating a VPN connection to Azure VNet, and this service is provided by Transit Gateway in AWS. We can also uh, uh, we can also pair the uh, multiple regions in AWS with this master region where the main database is residing, so that all the right operations can be seamlessly done in the main region. The concept, now I'm going to the Azure. The concept is almost same, but obviously in Azure there are different services with different names. Uh, concept is same. In AWS, it was Global Accelerator. Now it is in Azure, it is Azure Front Door. Uh, Route 53 will route the traffic to Azure Front Door if there is low latency from the user to the Azure platform. All this done would be in the Route 53 configuration. And obviously, this Azure Front Door would forward the traffic to multiple regions in the Azure. Now, Azure Application Gateway. This Azure Application Gateway can load balance the traffic between multiple virtual machines in Azure. Moreover, it can also act as a web application firewall. So this single service will provide two services at the same time. It would be web application firewall also, and it would be application load balancing also. So by this service we are achieving the security and auto scaling at the same time. Same like that in AWS, we implemented the multiple subnets according to tiers, and in Azure, we will divide the VNet in multiple subnets according to tiers, like front end, back end, and by the way, there would be no database tier in Azure because database would be accessed by Azure in AWS by VPN connection. So in Azure, there will be only two subnets, the front end and back end. And regarding the virtual machine same like that, we will not use the on-demand virtual machine. We will use on a reserved virtual machine to reduce the cost. Now, between each subnet in Azure, same like that in AWS, the same scenario is here. Between each subnet in Azure, we will use load balancer to load balance the virtual machine to get the scalability. Because if the traffic load increases or decreases, the load balancer will automatically deploy the virtual machines based on the traffic load. So by this, we are achieving the scalability and security also, because we will also use the feature of this web application firewall. As I discussed before, because there will be no database tier in Azure, to achieve the data consistency, we will implement a single write instance in AWS as a database, and all the backend microservices in Azure will access the RDS database in AWS for write operations, while for the read operations, there would be a separate databases in Azure that will serve for read operations to the backend microservices. So this means that this means that the database instances in Azure will sync its data with master RDS in AWS, the main database where all the write operations would be done. And obviously, this would be done for this operation. For this functionality, we need a VPN connection between AWS and Azure. Okay, right now this was a high-level overview of cloud infrastructure. Now we will go to the Kubernetes cluster infrastructure. This is the high-level Kubernetes cluster architecture diagram. We will go through each of the components here. Before moving ahead about the Kubernetes, I will discuss little about the Istio. Istio is a open source tool as working as a service mesh in Kubernetes cluster. Uh, we can get various features from Istio to implement like traffic in like port-to-port traffic would be encrypted by mutual TLS, and we can implement the fine-grained policy for the authorization access like RBAC. Moreover, we can rate limit. Rate limit means uh, how many requests would hit to the microservice per second. We can also implement this policy. This would be helpful to block the DDoS attack, and there would be Istio Ingress Gateway, a feature by Ingress Gateway. This Ingress Gateway would be the entry point for the Kubernetes cluster, because at the cloud level, we discussed about the global accelerator for the AWS and front door for the Azure. But at the Kubernetes cluster level, this H2 ingress gateway would be the entry point for the cluster. So we can implement various policies like what traffic can be should be allowed, what traffic should not be allowed. Uh, TLS encryption can be terminated at the Istio ingress gateway level, and after that, all the port-to-port communication would be implemented by mutual TLS. So there are a lot of options at the ingress gateway. This is the same slide that I discussed before, like traffic routing based on the host name, based on the path. This can be done by the Istio TLS SSL termination, load balancing, what kind of traffic at what percentage should be forwarded, should be routed to which pod or which microservice, uh, traffic shaping of the. So there are a lot of options we can get from Istio, from the security perspective, from the scalability perspective. So that's why we need to implement Istio here. This is the same, almost same thing that I discussed before, like authentication encryption. Pod communication is the encrypted end-to-end between the pods, and automatic certificate management. You should manage the rotate certificates because all the communications is encrypted. There should be some kind of certificate management system which is to provide in by default. Now, about change tolerations and known affinity, because uh, there would be multiple microservices. There would be microservices for the front, microservices for the backend. So we need to make sure that particular tier microservice should be deployed at particular subnet. That's why we need to use these change and tolerations and node affinity feature of Kubernetes, so that front end microservice should be deployed at the front end subnet in the cloud. If there is mismatch, this would be a great match in the service, and our application would not work. Namespaces. Uh, at the Kubernetes level, we segregated the services, microservices, by help of namespace. With namespace, we can implement security policies. Uh, by segregation, we can manage and troubleshoot easily, and we can label it by namespace. So if we keep all the microservices in the same namespace, security policies and other, the management or maintenance would be a great mess, can be a great mess. So dividing and segregating the microservices between multiple namespaces, like front-end namespace, back-end namespace, uh, among the multiple nodes, this maintenance and security policy would be much easier. Now, pods and services. Uh, front-end pods would be able to communicate to back-end pods. But between both of them, there would be a service object of the Kubernetes. What service would do? It will only allow the particular traffic to keep the application functional. It will block all the remaining traffic on ports, but only allow the specific ports or specific traffic that would need the application to be fully functional. Now we will go to application features and implementation. Now there are some points that I would like to discuss in next slide. Like here, these are some security considerations for the Kubernetes cluster, like security context. Every pod in the Kubernetes cluster will run as a non-root user, because we will limit the privileges of a pod of microservice in the cluster. Because if there is a root user running in the pod, it will have more privileges, which can create more security breaches and vulnerabilities. So we can deploy by using the security context of the Kubernetes feature. So every pod in the cluster will run as a not root user. Service accounts with IAM roles. Every pod will have particular service account assigned, and this service account will have specific IAM roles, only limited authorization. What pods needs to do, only that roles would be assigned, only that permissions would be assigned to roles, and that roles would be assigned to that service account. By this, pod will have only limited access, limited authorization in the cluster. Access control with network policies. We will implement the network policies. Obviously, each pod will be exposed only to necessary ports or the internet. So each pod will open only in required ports, only expose its ports to be accessible from the other pods or internet. We will block all remaining ports to block unnecessary traffic. This can be done by implementing network policies in the Kubernetes. Now, Kubernetes serverless architecture. Obviously, there would be many features of the application that would not require a 24/7 operation. There would be some microservices, like I already listed here, like order processing, payment processing, inventory. These are the services that are based on event driven, and these are not required 24/7. So we will implement these microservices by using the feature serverless. Both cloud providers provide these features. Like in AWS, it's Lambda, and for the Azure, I forget right now. I forget its name. So these are the microservices that would be serverless, and we will not implement these microservices at the node level. Now, in opposite, there are some containerized workloads that would require 24/7 available, like log running services, customizable environments, heavy traffic, predictive. So these are the services that require 24/7 available to the user. These services cannot be implemented by serverless architecture. Instead, we will use containers. Like we will use a container for these services. For example, I listed two services here, like front-end web application containers and microservices for product listings and checkout. These are the services that should be available to the end user all the time. Now, Falco is an open tool designed for runtime security. We need to implement some kind of mechanism to keep monitoring the containers, what's happening inside, how pods or containers are behaving. So this would be done by the Falco. These are the some Falco features or best practices that I listed here. Like it would be deployed as a daemon set. Daemon set means each pod will have one container running with Falco. Monitor access to critical files. Are the critical files uh, modified without authorization? We will By this we will prevent container elevated privileges, alert system integration. So these are some listed best practices that would be deployed by Falco. Now, with OPA, we will deploy some policies uh, to keep the consistent policy across both cloud platforms, because we don't want to implement separate policies for AWS, separate policy for Azure at the cluster level. Instead, we want the consistency about the policies between both cloud platforms.
I think I have to
Here
stop
we have
you.
I have this.
I have to stop you. The time is running out, so I have to start the Q&A session as well. It has been 20 minutes, right?
I think so.
Yes, since the time you started. Okay, the presentation is a massive presentation, right? It covers pod services, application feature. There are more than 55 pages, right?
Yes, sir.
How were you expecting this to be covered in 30 minutes? Because you were supposed to present this. You can stop your screen sharing, right? You were supposed to basically present this thing, the presentation, in 15 to 20 minutes. The idea, the conception, and all those things, and followed by Q&A. So did you know in advance that this is how you have to create the presentation?
Yes, sir. I know. I know that. I was hoping that I will clear this in 20 minutes.
Yes, but like, how would you cover 55 slides in 20 minutes? That's like covering 2 slides. Even if you cover 2 slides in a minute, right? That gives you 40 slides, right? So it's not possible to do that. So the presentation, it covers everything. What you have done is like you have essentially, if you have to work as a solution architect and you go somewhere, this is the presentation, you give it to them because this is their solution that you have developed, right? But for this exercise, it has to be something smaller, something dense, but smaller, not lengthy. Okay. All right. So I'm going to jump on the Q&A session. There's a ton of things I'm going to ask you. It's a very loaded topic, right?
Yes.
Now, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So there are a couple of things you have to understand, right? One of the things is that uh, I assess the presentation on multiple things: communication, knowledge, presentation, how you presented it, the flow of the presentation. There's now a new element known as AI copying. Have you used AI to copy or not? It's a reality. I'm going to use that. It appears that you use some components, but not all. Is that true?
Sir, I use AI also, like ChatGPT and Google also at the same time, because obviously there are a lot of information here, and I need to get some knowledge about the particular services.
Yes, this is okay. This is good because you have to present. I mean, there's no negative marks in that. It's just I want the honesty coming from the people, right? So I'm not going to deduct any marks for anyone who is honest with me, saying yes. Look, AI is a tremendous resource. It gives you the insights to all the things that you want to work on, right? So absolutely yes, you can use it. That's great. But my only concern is like, you need to master the topic. Anyway, so I'm not going to deduct any marks on that front, but knowledge aspects, I'm going to ask you about the knowledge and stuff like that. Okay, so let me open the questions for you. There's going to be 20 questions in total. worth 25 points. So each question will be 1 point something, 1.25, 1.5. Let me put on the timer so that I'm on time as well. So each question will be for 1.25, okay? That's how I'm going to measure it. All right, so
Okay, sir.
it's a good structured format. It's a very loaded topic, multi-cloud environment. Keep this in mind when you're in Saudi Arabia, many organizations are looking into it. Saudi Arabia architecture is pretty traditional, right? They still don't have Amazon, Azure data centers in there. They're still in the process of developing them. In some places, they may have opened something. Uh, the Saudi government spends a lot of money in terms of, you know, cloud services and whatnot, but most, if not all of the cloud services, they reside within Saudi Arabia. Because of the data residency and data sovereignty laws, they don't go outside. Sometimes they do, for depending on the severity of the service that they want to use, right? But anything that has to do with the government side, it is done internally, and that's why it's one of the biggest spenders. So they're looking into all of those things. So if you dig down deeper and build this multi-cloud environment, whatever you have learned here, if you implement that, and that is going to be very phenomenal for you, basically, to ace any interview. Okay. All right. So let me open this. So it says the topic is multi-cloud e-commerce application infrastructure design, right? So you have to build up the design, how it looks like, what does it do, so on and so forth, right? Again, the topic was implementing a secure and scalable multi-cloud infrastructure with Kubernetes and serverless architecture on AWS services, right? That was the
Yes,
topic.
sir.
You came up with a slightly different one. You presented, you know, like the topic was talking about understanding the core principles of Kubernetes, design and implement solutions, utilize Azure. And there are key areas of focus. There were key areas of focus, and there were 5 key areas of focus in the presentation. Kubernetes and serverless architecture basics, cloud native security and compliance, multi-cloud infrastructure management and scaling, cost optimization and resource management, and DevSecOps and automation and multi-cloud. Did you read the document before building up this presentation?
Yes, sir. I read and whatever I got the understanding from this document, I worked on it.
You did cover some of the pieces like Falco for Kubernetes, OPA for policy management, but you took the topic in a different direction. What you did was basically you took it towards, the topic is implementing a secure and scalable multi-cloud infrastructure with Kubernetes and serverless architecture on AWS and Azure. And the presentation is multi-cloud e-commerce application infrastructure design. These are two different things, right? So slightly different. Am I right? I mean, was there any confusion in that? Because the document talks specifically about what you had to present, right? Look, I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay,
Yes.
hold on. So, okay. So I'm going to share my screen with you just to show you, right? This is your topic that I'm looking at, right? This is the
Yes, sir.
exam topic. The exam topic is implementing a secure and scalable. The keyword is secure and scalable multi-cloud infrastructure. with Kubernetes and serverless architectures on AWS, architectures, right? And these are the key things. You have to make sure that your presentation focuses on key areas of focus, these 5 areas, right?
Yes, sir.
Right? Your presentation starts here, application design overview. It jumps quickly into the application design overview. Where are the 5 key areas that we requested?
Sir, these are one area I discussed about Falco
Yes.
uh, at the last or second last slide.
You
After
you
that,
mentioned,
I
look, Usman, brother Usman. There are a couple of things which are very important, right? You have to start your presentation with the same topic that was given to you, right? Then you also have to mention the key principles. Objectives are understand the core principles of Kubernetes and serverless architecture. Then design and implement solutions for handling hybrid workloads. This is where you show some of the elements in your presentation. But then utilize Azure and AWS cloud native services. What cloud native services will you use from within uh, these two cloud providers? They have a lot of cloud native solutions, right? For monitoring, scaling, automating, deployment, etc., etc., for security and cost efficiency. And then the fourth point is integrate DevSecOps practices. What DevSecOps practices will you implement in establishing that pipeline for the continuous CI/CD deployment, right? And then key areas of focus. So when you're presenting, your presentation needs to be divided into 4 objectives and 5 key areas. That's what you had to deliver, right?
I
Um,
started from the scratch.
yes, I mean, it went into a different direction. So here's the thing. I'm going to give you, because if you proceed with this, you will have a lot of negative marks, right? Because you will lose the topic that you presented to me, right? And I don't want to do that, right? So you have the chance, brother. You can go back and say, okay, I made a mistake. Everyone makes a mistake. Allah says in the Quran, as you're a Muslim, I can give you Islamic examples. Every one of you will make mistakes, right? So we all make mistakes. It's fine. It happens, right? There's a lot of hadith where Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, like, uh, you know, how people used to make mistakes, right? So there are 2 things. If you proceed, it's going to be a very razor thin margin for you to pass this exam, because you will lose in your presentation, you're losing all the marks except 5. So the weightage is 25 for presentation, 25 for Q&A, right?
Hmm.
In the presentation, you didn't present it to me, and some of these elements, not the key elements I was looking for. Okay. So, but if we, in the Q&A, so you lost 20 points, right? Because you presented me an architecture of e-commerce solution developing, hybrid architecture. Great. But that was not the topic. The topic is different, right? The topic is different. Topic focuses on 4 objectives, 5 key, 4 areas. And then the interview, if I jump on the interview and I ask you the questions regarding the topic, not your presentation, you may pass, you may fail. Do you want to take that chance? Because I'm willing to give you a chance. You may come back with a complete clean slate and you may get a position. 2 people have secured gold medal recently. 10 of them, more than around 10, 12 people have got their diploma canceled because they were cheating. So we give them time. That is not up to you. I mean, some of them, they came very unprepared long ago, right? That's why we have this exercise. You have a chance. You don't have to pay any examination fee again, Normally, you do have to if you fail, right? But you're not failing. I'm not failing you. If you proceed, you may fail. You may. I'm not sure. If you scored 25 out of 25 plus 5, then plus 5 for because in total there are 50 marks, right? 25 for presentation, 25 for the interview. That makes up 50 marks, right? You have a stellar record. You have masters in computing, right? And you can potentially pass this presentation if you come back again with good marks. I hold nothing against anyone. This is my nature. If anyone comes to me, make a mistake, I always give him a chance. Okay, go and prove yourself. If the person comes back to me proving himself, then I say, okay, you're pass. Good work. You can proceed, right? This is what Islam teaches us. So again, as a Muslim, there are lots of non-Muslims now studying with us. As a Muslim, I can give you Islamic examples because you do understand, right? This is basic ethics, right? That we are talking about. If I proceed, the chance of you scoring, you have to tell me the chance of you scoring 25 out of 25. How much is it? Should we proceed?
Impossible. No, it's not possible
Thank
because
you for that. No. Because like if I proceed, the total you need is minimum 25 to pass, minimum 25 to pass out of 50, you need 25 to pass. You got 5, I give you 5 because of the flow, the presentation, the knowledge, the communication, the AI copying, some marks, 1 each, but the topic is completely different. It covers some elements of it. That's why I was able to give it to you, right? But if I proceed with the interview, for you to score 20, even 20 is going to be tough because I'm going to jump into questions that may ruffle up a lot of feathers. When two roosters fight, what happens? They
uh,
they fluff up their feathers, right? So the
yes,
chances
sir.
of fluffing up your feather is very less
Yeah.
because I will be coming in as a butcher with a knife. Metamorphic, in reality, but metamorphically, this is what I do. This is my job, right? So, what do you want to do? You're not
Sir,
fail you if you say, "Give me another chance. I want to go back. I'm gonna review it. Give me 3-4 weeks. We can do this in January because the dates are already booked for the whole month of December, right? There's a new examiner coming from next year as well, so there will be more dates available, right? A couple of examiners are coming in, 3-4 examiners are coming in, right? So what would you like to do? There is no rush.
uh,
Don't push yourself. My recommendation is don't push yourself because I came in, I reviewed your work. I was already prepared. I thought like you might take it differently, explain it to me. So I gave you the chance, but the presentation is 55 slides, right? If I look at it, I was like, what in the world is this? Look at this, look at the slides. 55 slides, right? This is what you have. I can ask you so many questions from just this diagram that you'll be stuck here. You may be able to pass, I don't know, pods and services, namespaces, tons of questions from namespaces alone. Such a common troubleshooting issue, even in networking, right? Right?
yes, sir.
So what do you want to do, brother? Tell me.
Sir, I understood that I went to in different direction. Whatever you open the document about the exam and you explained it. These are the 4 and 5 key elements and areas to focus. So I accept that this is my mistake that I went in a different direction. That should be not.
Okay, it's okay.
Uh,
Take your so let's
so
close this thing. Uh, please go back, take your time, reschedule your exam date by contacting
yes,
the Islamic Operations Center, AOC. The director, Muhammad Yusuf Riaz, is responsible for that. You can go back. We'll put this, there is no negative record for you, right? But the reason I wanted this to happen was because this will be a lesson for others to understand, right? That please don't do this. Like the Sahabas, the companions, they left a lot of lessons for us. So
Yes,
don't feel ashamed. I'm giving you every opportunity to prove yourself. And if you prove yourself, we are sponsoring, Nafi is sponsoring multiple students to go to US for EB visa. You have a potential to do that because you're already meeting all the requirements. So, and we are willing to sponsor you. The only caveat is the exam, you have to pass the exam, do the Al Razak labs, and you can do all of those things without any problems. You will be able to do that. But I'm just giving you an opportunity to, go back, review, then come back, and you will come back stronger. So don't think that, yeah, I just missed everything, and this was not good. That's not the case. I'm giving you an opportunity. Normally we don't, right? But this is in
yes,
my
sir.
hands. I'm giving you an opportunity, Usman. Okay, you are performing well. You know the topic, but the topic is is in another direction, right? You need to align it in the direction, right? In the direction that we are asking you to do. If you do that, you will be able to pass the exam.
I
Okay.
got it, sir. I got it, sir.
All right. And again, as I said, uh, there is no shame in that. A person learns from their mistakes. The person who, like Khalid bin Walid, as again, you're a Muslim, I can give you an example. Khalid bin Walid was a staunch enemy of Islam, right?
Yes, I
When
know.
he accepted
Mhm.
Islam, when he accepted Islam, he became the best of Islam has to offer. Umar bin al-Khattab, you
Yes,
know,
sir.
Muhammad Ayyub Salabi, one of the Libyan scholars, used to say, if Islam would not have reached Umar bin al-Khattab, he would have died because of excessive drinking at a young age. But when he became Islam, he made a lot of mistakes. But when he came back, he became Muslim and he became the best after Abu Bakr in the whole world, Umar bin al-Khattab. After Rasulullah
Yes,
Sallallahu
sir.
Alaihi Wasallam, it's Abu Bakr Siddiq, and then it's Umar bin al-Khattab, right? So you can imagine the left and the right of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, right? So you have the opportunity, brother. You can go back, review it, come back stronger. May Allah give you success.
Sure, sir. I will review and make another presentation with the
Make
limited
another effort. Make
20.
another effort. Come and surprise me and say, Faisal Bhai, I'm back with a vengeance.
Yes, sir. Sure, inshallah.
And I'm going to pass this exam. And you can pass it, and absolutely you will pass it. I'm telling you right. Inshallah. Because
Inshallah.
you have it aligned. You just need to align the presentation, and then the Q&A will follow through. Okay?
I got it.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Usman Perwaiz. I will see you soon, and I wish you the best. You haven't failed the exam. You don't have to pay any examination fee, but this was a good lesson for you and for everyone else who has been watching this, so that they can learn and they can come back. Normally, again, that is not our practice to give anyone second chances. You are an exceptional case right now that I am giving you. It is in my own hands, right? I have failed many people, right? Prior to going live. But when I'm live, I always give another person a chance. So you have the chance. Okay? Go and prove yourself, inshallah. Okay? Jazakallah
Okay.
khair. I have a lot of good recommendations for you. We will discuss that once you pass the exam. And
Okay, sir.
it's in
Got
the
it.
bag. It's in the bag. Make the presentation. Look, I'm going to give you recommendation. Okay? Make the presentation. This is your topic. Stick it to the topic. This is your topic, right? This is how we issue the topic, right? Each and every topic is written by my own hands. So I know, right? Uh, the solution we're using is Albari, where I fed so much data that that solution now acts like Mohammed Faisal, but with lots of RAM and storage, right? And CPU processing capabilities. But anyway, this is your topic. Stick to the topic. Okay. So you have to delve deeper into the complexities of deploying, managing, securing multi-cloud infrastructure using Kubernetes and serverless technologies. These are the objectives. Stick to the objectives. Key areas of focus. The first one, Kubernetes and serverless architecture basics. Cloud native, security compliance. And you did cover some of them. Some of them are covered in there. Multi-cloud infrastructure management and scaling, cost optimization and resource management. And then lastly, but not least, DevSecOps and automation and multi-cloud. Very important because we are going through this. Our infrastructure is similar to this. If you ask me, how did I design this thing? Because we are already deployed this thing. Our infrastructure resides in AWS and Azure, globally load balanced. In 2025, we will make it in AWS, and it's going to be region-based, right? So it's going to be in AWS in North America and Azure. In Europe, it's going to be OVH and some other cloud providers. In Asia, it's going to be Alibaba and some other cloud providers. It's going to be a very complex architecture that we are managing ourselves, right? And I sit with the team and I manage the teams from the, on the forefront. So much complexity, but I always break down the things to my own engineers in the easiest fashion. So I'm a very hands-on person. And this is what comes from me as well, right? So you can do this thing. Absolutely, yes. And may Allah make things easier for you and give you success. Okay? Jazakallah khair.
Okay.
See you soon, inshallah. Again, you haven't failed this. You can apply it again. This is not going to go to EduQual. This is not going to go in your portfolio. Okay? So your portfolio is clean. Everything is clean. You just had some fun with me today.
Okay. I got it, sir.
All right? Okay. Jazakallah khair. Make dua for me, inshallah. Okay? Okay.
Inshallah. Thank you, sir. Thank